guys. All right, so today I'm going to be starting off on chapter 33. So Bradley was terrible. This was after he started playing basketball. He dribbled with two hands. He passed the ball to people who weren't on his team. But worst of all, whenever anyone passed the ball to him, he said, "Thank you." He never shot at the basket. He didn't dare. Finally, after his team was losing 28-6 anyway, everyone told him to try a shot. He looked around for someone to pass to. Jeff sat down so Bradley wouldn't pass it to him. "Just shoot," he said. The rest of his team sat down too. "Shoot it," they said. Everybody on the other team sat down too. "Shoot the ball." Bradley faced the basket. His tongue slipped out of the corner of his mouth as he carefully aimed and then threw the ball high in the air. It hit the back of the rim, bounced against the backboard, and then dropped through the net. "Great shot," said Jeff. "Way to go," said Andy, patting him on the back, and at first he couldn't believe it. But then he saw Carla's book lying on the ground at the base of the basket. No wonder, he realized. Everyone headed for the water fountain, and Bradley went along too, even though he wasn't thirsty. But then once he got there, he realized he was thirsty. He just hadn't noticed. "Great game, Bradley," said Brian. You just have to stop passing to people who aren't on your team," said Dan. "Maybe you should give the rest of us on your team black eyes too," said Robbie. "Then you'll know who to pass to." Everyone laughed, even Bradley. He and Jeff were the two left at the water fountain. Everyone else had already started back to class. As they drank, their eyes met, and they broke out laughing. "How did you get the black eye?" Bradley asked after he stopped laughing. "Melinda," said Jeff. Bradley nodded. "She's strong." "Oh boy, you can say that again," said Jeff. They laughed again. "My book!" Bradley suddenly exclaimed, and he ran back to the basketball court where he'd left it. Jeff shook his head as he watched Bradley run away. Life's weird, he thought. He walked into the boys' bathroom and splashed his sweaty face with cold water. He had to hold the faucet down with one hand and splash his face with the other. Colleen Varigold walked in. He stared at her. She looked around and then screamed and ran outside. Jeff watched the door swing shut behind her. Chapter 34. Life was too weird for Jeff to return to class. "Anytime you want to talk again," Carla had said, "please feel free to come and see me. Even if you just feel like getting out of class for a while." He had hoped she really meant it. He had a lot he wanted to say to her, beginning with, "I'm sorry." He slowly walked to her office. He hoped she wasn't with somebody else, and he knocked. Carla opened the door and smiled when she saw him. "Hello, Jeff." He smiled. "Hi, Carla, He stopped because he saw somebody else sitting around the table. "I believe you two know each other?" said Carla. Jeff lowered his eyes. "Hello, Colleen," he muttered. Colleen Varigold covered her face with her hands. "You don't mind if Jeff joins us, do you, Colleen?" Carla asked. Colleen shook her head with her hands still over her face. Jeff awkwardly sat down. "Mrs. Ebel doesn't know I'm here," he said. "I'll write you a note," said Carla. Colleen peeked out from between her fingers. "I'm not supposed to be here either," she said. Carla turned to Colleen. "So, what's the big emergency? Can you say it in front of Jeff?" "He already knows," said Colleen, and she looked at Jeff. "You better not tell anybody." "I won't," Jeff promised. "Tell anybody what?" asked Carla. "Colleen walked into the boys' bathroom," said Jeff. "I was there washing my face." "Jeff!" Colleen exploded. "You just promised you wouldn't tell." "Oops," said Jeff, and he blushed. "But it's only Carla. You were going to tell her anyway, weren't you?" Colleen smiled at him. "I didn't go there on purpose," she explained to Carla. "It was an accident." "Oh, I don't believe in accidents," said Carla. Colleen stared at her in amazement, and she wondered how Carla knew that she had gone in after Jeff on purpose. She turned to Jeff. "I'm sorry for saying hello to you when you didn't like it." "That's okay." "Anyway, how was I supposed to know you didn't like it? You always say hello back." "I know, I can't help it. Whenever anybody says hello to me, I always have to say hello back." And he looked at the picture of the green monster with 6 hands hanging on the wall. "If a big scary monster said hello, Jeff, I'd probably say hello back to it too." Colleen laughed. "Well, what's wrong with that?" demanded Carla. "If a monster says hello to you, you should say hello to it. If you don't, then I have to wonder which one of you is really the monster." Colleen frowned. She suddenly remembered that Bradley Chalkers had said hello to her at the beginning of the lunch period, and she had walked away without saying hello back. It made her feel terrible. You can say hello to me whenever you want, said Jeff. She smiled again. Hello, Jeff, she said. Hello, Colleen. I read somewhere, said Carla, that in Zen, it is the most important rule that when one person says hello to you, you have to say hello back. What's Zen? Said Colleen. It's a religion, answered Carla. She got a book from her bookcase. Here it is, and she read aloud from Raise High the Roof Beam Carpenters by J.D. Salinger. In certain Zen monasteries, high to another monk, to the latter, must call back high without even thinking. Jeff should be a Zen monk, Colleen exclaimed with delight. Jeff laughed. I already say hello to anybody who says hello to me, he said proudly. Can girls be Zen monks too? Colleen asked. Why not? Said Carla. Colleen laughed with delight, and then she said, Jeff, do you want to come to my birthday party next Sunday? Yes, said Jeff. That's the second most important rule about being a Zen monk. Whenever another Zen monk invites you to a birthday party, you have to say yes. Colleen laughed again. You're the only boy so far, she said. I'll invite one more, but only one. I can't invite too many boys. Suddenly she looked very serious, and she knew what she had to do. Chapter 35. Before dinner, while it was still light, Bradley's father, bad leg and all, taught Bradley how to dribble. Bradley could hardly wait to show his friends. The next morning when the bell rang for recess, everyone hurried outside, except Bradley. First, he had to put his paper neatly in his notebook. Then he had to mark his place in his book and put all his pencils in his pencil holder. Then he put everything away neatly in his desk. He rushed out the door. Hello, Bradley, said Colleen. He stopped cold. Colleen closed her eyes tightly and then opened them again. With the determination of a Zen monk, she asked, Would you like to come to my birthday party on Sunday? Bradley stared at her. Jeff will be there, said Colleen. He's the only other boy. Everyone else will be girls. I would have invited you sooner, except, I just found out when it was. Bradley nodded his head with his mouth until his mouth worked. Yes, he said. Good, said Colleen, and she scooted the other way. Bradley stared after her and then turned around in a circle as he tried to remember which way he was going. Bradley, called Andy, hurry up, we need you. He ran to the basketball court and he forgot everything he had learned about dribbling. Is he coming? Asked Melinda. Colleen nodded. Lori stuck out her tongue and screamed. It'll be fun, said Melinda. Bradley's not the same as he was. I think he's gotten better. Oh, you can't come anymore, Melinda, said Colleen. Why not? She asked, obviously very hurt. Because they're coming and you beat them up. But they started it. Colleen stared at her, hands on her hips, and she couldn't believe Melinda was being so unreasonable. I thought I was your best friend, said Melinda. You are, said Colleen, but they're boys. Oh, okay, you can come, but you better not cause any more trouble. I thought I was your best friend, said Lori. That night, Bradley lay in bed too excited to sleep. He couldn't wait until tomorrow when he'd see Carla again. He had so much to share with her, and it was all because of her magic book. He turned on the light above his head and read aloud to Ronnie and Bartholomew, and they laughed whenever he did. I just met Alice. He's my parents' lawyer. Guess what? He's crazier than my aunt and uncle put together. The first thing he said to me was, Do you like peanuts? They're okay, I answered. Good, he said. He gave me a peanut and I ate it. Do you want another peanut, he asked. I shrugged. He gave me another peanut and I ate that one too. Big deal. He must really like peanuts a lot, he said. I told you he was crazy. I want you to remember that, he said. If anybody asks you, you really like peanuts a lot. Okay, I really like peanuts a lot, I said. Then he gave me more peanuts. Eat these. I ate them. So you just ate 3 peanuts in 5 seconds, he said. Can you believe it? He timed me. Tell me he isn't crazy. He isn't crazy, laughed Ronnie. Why is he making such a big deal over peanuts? Asked Bartholomew. I don't know, said Bradley. There was a loud knock on the door, then his father entered. It's past your bedtime, Bradley, he said. Okay, said Bradley, and he reached for his light. Oh, you were reading. His father noticed. Well, that's all right then. You can stay up if you want to read. Bradley smiled. Once again, this magic book had kept him from getting into trouble. So, what did the kids think about your dribbling? I forgot how, Bradley admitted. He hated to disappoint his father. Well, I guess we need to practice more, said his father. Maybe this weekend I'll put up a backboard on the garage. He said goodnight and walked out of Bradley's room. Come on, I want to hear about the peanuts, said Bartholomew, and Bradley continued reading. So then he asked me, are you good at math? Well, I don't like to brag, but math happens to be my best subject. Big deal. Okay, here's a math problem for you, he said. If you could eat 3 peanuts in 5 seconds, how long would it take you to eat 50,000 peanuts? I got out a pencil and a paper and figured it out. About 23 hours and 9 minutes. That's less than a day, isn't it? He asked. Yes, I said. There are 24 hours in a day. He's supposed to be my parents' lawyer. He doesn't even know how many hours there are in a day. Remember that, he told me. If anybody asks you, you can eat 50,000 peanuts per day. I laughed. Who would ask me that? The police. The chapter ended there. All right. That my parents didn't steal an elephant book. It's pretty interesting that Bradley's reading. All right, so we're going to stop there. And then what my hope is that I'm going to keep posting more of the book, and it will be going on during the summer. It won't be able to be read to you on Google Classroom, but I'm going to post it on my little virtual classroom, and I'll have like a link to it that'll be on the PTA page, and I'll post it here, and then you can keep a copy of the link, and then you can save it to your email or save it somewhere so that you can keep going back to it, and I'll keep updating it so we can read the last 10 chapters. So I read about 2 to 3 chapters a day, so it'll only take us about the next few weeks to get through the last bit of the book so that we can finish it. Since I started later in the year, I would have already been done, but since we have to kind of get through it, the last bit, so hopefully you guys will stick through it with me. So thank you. All right, bye guys.